A very good evening to one and all present here. A warm welcome to our webinar hosted by HR Speaks, the creative force behind HR College's official monthly magazine and the prestigious HR Lit Fest. We are deeply appreciative of your presence today, which adds a very special spark to this event. We would like to start thanking our principal, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, for supporting us and encouraging us throughout. We would also like to thank Dr. Shweta Singh, our teacher in charge, who is the pillar of our strength. Ma'am has always supported us and given us free rein to develop, which made today's event possible. Thank you so much, ma'am. If you would like to say a few words, it would mean a lot.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Nimra, for the kind introduction and the thanks given to me. I would like to welcome Miss Vidya and a wonderful topic which she's going to introduce to all the students, careers in blogging, which is something very, very the Gen Z students look for. So, welcome to the session, and I hope all of the students have a great session, and all the best to HR Speaks. Thank you. Over to you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you for your kind words, ma'am. So allow me to introduce our distinguished speaker, Miss Vidhya Thakkar, who's more than just a blogger. She's a passionate explorer of literature, an avid traveler, and a devoted journal keeper. Her journey extends beyond her books for love for books. Miss Vidya is also a seasoned social media strategist who collaborates with renowned brands, authors, and publishers, lending her expertise in marketing and promotions.
Miss Vidya's contribution to the literary world have earned her a well-deserved place among the top book bloggers in India. Her work has left an indelible mark on the industry, having partnered with prestigious names like JCB Prize for Literature, JLF, AKLF, Oxford Bookstores, Flipkart, Amazon, and a myriad of other esteemed brands.
Furthermore, Miss Vidya is the visionary behind Mumbaibookstagram, a thriving community that unites Mumbai's book bloggers in the shared love for literature. Under the pseudonym Reader_Vid, she crafts insightful book reviews on Instagram.
Today, we are not only privileged to have Miss Vidya as a speaker, but we also have the opportunity to address some of the burning questions that HRites have about our seminar and Miss Vidya's invaluable insights. Together, we will explore the dynamic realms of literature, blogging, and social media strategy. Let's embark on this illuminating journey of knowledge and discovery. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, and let's make this webinar an enriching experience for all. Miss Vidya, the floor is all yours, so could you please take over?
Firstly, thank you so much, HR Speaks, for this opportunity. Thank you, Aisha, for inviting me here. I'm so excited to be here today and share about my journey. So when I chatted with Aisha and we talked about what I could speak and everything, we discussed how we all are storytellers, but we often we are not able to share all the stories we write. So we thought of discussing something around that as well, apart from blogging, apart from books, apart from literature. So yes, firstly, thank you, HR Speaks, for this opportunity. All right. So when it comes to blogging, when it comes to writing, and when it comes to books, I would start this webinar sharing my journey about how Reader_Vid was born. I always say that passion rules us all. And that is something that happened with me as well. So it goes like, even I was a blogger when I was in college. So I used to write poetries, life experiences, and I used to share it on my blog when I was in college. A shy introvert girl who just used to write all the poems and express herself in form of poetries and experiences. That's how I was. So literally, when I was in college of your age, they always used to call me that, a shy introvert girl who is just always in books, always in pages. So one fine day, a friend of mine discovered a poem that was written by me, and that's how the word spreaded. Okay, I am into blogging, and during that time I had an active visitors and everything on my blog. So my journey into blogging started when I was in college. So it was like just pure passion, love for words that made me inclined to blogging. After that, one day when I was traveling, I clicked a picture of a book and I wanted to add that picture on Instagram. So while adding that picture on Instagram, I discovered a hashtag called as Bookstagram. So I was curious, like, what is Bookstagram all about? And I decided to, do some research. And that's when I came to know that book blogging is a thing. The Bookstagram is something about sharing books, book recommendations, book reviews. And that's how I started my journey. And that's how Reader With was born. So here I would say one thing, that if you are passionate about writing and sharing what you feel to the world, then always, always, always go for a blog. It is like an open diary to world. So yes, Aisha, Aisha shared about, like, there were few questions for me. So if
Okay, so we have some common questions which were asked by the students on our Instagram story. So the first one is, what are some of the most important skills and qualities that a successful writer needs?
first thing, I feel it is to write. That willingness to write and put your thoughts in words is something that a writer needs in it. And that confidence, okay, it's okay if nobody likes it, but I want to write what I feel. That is the first quality that a writer needs. Secondly, so I am into this field from last 7 years as a book blogger, and as a blogger I started in 2014, so it's almost 9 years now. And in these 9 years, another thing that I learned is to have patience. So whenever you will write, your first draft will be horrible draft, but that willingness to write will make it happen. So when you will write, you will improve. So first thing is to write. Second thing is to have patience. Third thing I would always say is feedback. It is important to take a feedback and nurture ourselves and learn. So even now today, my friends always tell me how you draft reviews and everything. I always tell them one thing, that I am an impromptu person. So after I finish reading book, I just pen down everything that I have. I mark things in my book, like, okay, this thing I'll use for introduction, this thing I'll use for introducing a character. So I always mark down things and I pen down everything in my first draft, and later I improve my draft. So yes, when it comes to skills for writing, I would say same thing, like patience, the willingness to write, the ability to learn, and to take a feedback is definitely a skill that one must need when it comes to writing.
Thank you so much for your answer. We have a few more questions. Rahul, would you like to ask?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Ma'am, another question asked by the literary enthusiasts present over here. So, what are some of the challenges writers face today, and how can they overcome them? And to add on to that, my personal question, like, sometimes writers face a brain fog where
Yes.
they're unable to write anything and they cannot think about writing anything. They cannot put their thoughts into words. So, how do one overcome that?
So yes, when you asked me the first question, my answer was that writer's block is something we all face. Be it a student, be it a writer, be it an author, or be it a normal person. When we all are in this phase at times where we are unable to express ourselves. So writer's block is definitely one thing, and to overcome it, you need to read. So you can read your previous works, you can read your articles, you can read books, you can read articles from the editors, your favorite writers. That is one way you can overcome your writer's block, because Sometimes you need to reread your things, and that is when you get more ideas. Okay, this is how I can write more. Then secondly, when it comes to writer's block, something that I often do is I reread. So I go back to the poems I wrote, I go back to the articles. Every time we read something that I wrote in 2014, refreshes me, like, okay, I wrote this, now I can write even better. And that inspiration, that willingness to writing helps us in writing block. And take your time when it comes to writing. When I was away from my account from last 7 years, like I was away from my Instagram for a week, like I did not post anything, but that helped me a lot. So sometimes you need to pause, take a break. It's okay. You don't have to write continuously. You don't have to juggle what should I write, what should I do. Sometimes it's okay to take a pause and revive that love for writing and then start writing again.
Thank you so much for an amazing tip given by you. Now, the next question that the students have is, how can writers build a platform and audience for their writing?
So when it comes to building a platform, as we all are into college and we are all in the era of content creation, so I would say we all are brands. We all are creators. So how you can create? So when it comes to writing, there are many platforms available, like indie blogger. There are challenges that takes place, like the spoken stories, the stories spoken. So they have writing challenges. You can always participate there and you can learn new things. But when it comes to building that brand, that is where Instagram helps, obviously. But I would always suggest start a blog to each one of us, because we all have stories and it is necessary to tell that stories to the world, because we can't keep everything here. We need to pour it down somewhere. So that is where blogging comes in the frame. Something that I always believed in is, if you can't, sometimes you just don't need to go anywhere, but you need to create that for yourself. If I did not start a blog, I don't know, reader would have never existed. So sometimes taking that step of creating a blog, adding what you feel, adds a lot more when it comes to creating a brand. Instagram is full of stories and reels. We often tell stories via reels. Like there are so many things like we are consuming these days. So tell. For the first step, I would say, is always to create a brand, create a blog, create a platform for yourself where you can share what you feel. A little story time I would tell here. So I started my blog because I wanted to express myself. When it comes to Instagram, when it comes to reader with, they often tell me like, do you get a reading block? Do you get a writing block? And all I answer is, every time I feel that, I remember the reason why I started it. And the thing that I kept from the start is to be honest and to express myself here. So even on my website today, I write what I feel like. I randomly share a poetry. I randomly write a life experience, a short story apart from reviews, because I want to pour it all out. So build a blog. I would suggest each one of you here to at least start it. Secondly, if not a blog, you can start with an Instagram account where you can share your stories. We are all used to reels, so maybe start creating reels.
Thank you, ma'am. I think what I take from your insight towards this is taking action is the foremost thing that one needs to do to get
Definitely.
there. journey
Because
start.
if you won't take that step, you will always be there in the back seat.
Yes. But I think it's widely said and understood that the pen is mightier than the sword. So
Yes.
the follow-up question that I have is, what are some of your favorite resources for writers? Because right, it's very important in
Books.
that aspect.
Books are one of the favorite things to do, because the more you read, the more you will explore the world of stories, and the more you will understand what you want to write. Every time you read something new, you will get, okay, the story can be this way, or how you can pick up that thing from a book and write it. So that is definitely one thing. Then you have Medium, you have Scroll, you can always search for new articles, apart not only for writing but for even for content creation. You can always take inspiration.
Thank you so much for your answer. So basically, one of the participants is eager to know that what are the some methods that can help to improve the quality of your writing?
The thing is feedback.
Okay,
Because if you won't know what your audience needs or what your audience thinks, then how will you improve yourself? Or
that's very true.
like, show it to your friends, ask them how you can improve, ask them what they feel. And least you can do is, like, there comes my favorite subject, that is consumer behavior.
Yeah,
Think of it as a consumer's perspective, like what a reader will feel when they will read what you have written, and you will get your answer.
that's really true. We should know that what the other person feels about your writing.
Exactly. And always make sure, like, one thing I would advise each one of you here is always make sure, like, any person can make a buying decision from your writing, be it from selling a story or selling a book or writing a book review. Make sure you intend that a person can make a decision whether to buy this book, to not buy this book, whether to read this article or to not read this article.
Okay, thank you so much. So there are a lot of people who would like to, build their careers in writing. So one question is that what are the some books or articles that you would like to recommend writers who are looking to improve their skills or advance their careers?
So when it comes to writing, there is Fast, Cheap, and Viral. It's a book by Ashish Chopra that tells about the internet journey. Then when it comes to books on writing, I would say Lily Singh's book is always good, because they inspire. These books won't motivate you to write, but they will inspire you to share stories, I would say. Like, how you can build a world for yourself. And when it comes to writing, I would say it can start by contributing. So you can write it to Scroll, you can write it to newspapers, where you can contribute your articles. That is the first thing you can do to create a career in writing. Like, write articles for Medium, Scroll, for newspapers. And then maybe if you want to become an author, you can always go for writing a book. And secondly, when it comes to students, again, blogging comes to your rescue, because there's so much into blogging, like affiliate marketing, AdSense. There are companies who pays you, or they collaborate with you for writing articles for their brands.
Okay, ma'am, thank you so much. Now we have a very interesting question that says, what are some of the different ways that writers can monetize their work?
Again, when it comes to writing, I would say contributing to newspapers, because they pay you for writing, contributing to columns, and writing books, obviously. But yes, AdSense will always help. It's a long journey when it comes to Google AdSense. Like, if they approve your website, they run ads on your website and you get paid. That is again a big journey. You can start writing for brands. You can always pitch in brands for whom you can write articles.
Thank you so much. And one last question, which is, what advice would you give to someone who's starting out their career in writing?
Well, an advice I would like to give here is have patience. Because when it comes to writing, it is not a simple journey. There will be rejections, there will be multiple multiple changes you will go through when it comes to writing. So have patience. Don't be discouraged if your work is rejected or if someone asks for improvement, because that is how you will always improve. And I would say don't stop writing. That is my only advice. Have patience and don't stop writing.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, given to follow up on that question, given it's such an unconventional field and it takes a lot of obstacles to reach somewhere and it takes a lot of time and patience, how do you convince your parents and yourself also to a certain extent that this is a career meant for you?
So it was not easy. It was not easy for me to convince my parents, because it has always been, you have to work in a company, take a corporate job, or join a family business. That was the choice for me. But when I asked them for a year, like give me a year. If I don't feel like this space is meant for me, I will choose the option you either give me. So I asked them for a year and things happened for me. Like this field of blogging for me was just happened, I would say. It was an unplanned thing. I just started sharing about the books that I read. Started sharing, book recommendations and my journey all together with books. Later, when I started writing to publishers and authors that I would love to review your book and I would like to promote your book, we started it on working on a barter collaborations. So there was no money involved, nothing. We just did it out of passion for books and reading. Later, things started changing in industry and bloggers started getting paid for their work. And thankfully, my journey to it took me 3 years to reach 10K mark. And Instagram back then was very different from what it is now. So earlier 10K was like an achievement kind of. So we started working, and still now I won't say like this is my primary thing. Blogging is full like my passion. I'm passionate about books and that's why I'm into it. But yes, I started working with brands, I started working with authors, and I got paid for writing reviews. And I created a space for myself in this world of literature. And finally, in that 1 year, I could convince my parents that yes, am going, I will be going ahead with this choice of my career, and they supported me. I would say like now you see these many books. Earlier, I had just 15 books at my place. I used to bring books on rent. I used to read those books. I used to give them back. And while I was reading, I used to write quotes in my diary, like the quotes and lines that I found from the book. I used to write in my diary so that I don't forget that book. That's how it all started. And one fine day, I got a huge parcel from a publisher with almost 10 books in it. And my parents were like, did you buy a book again? And I was like, no, this came from a publisher for publicity. And that's when I told them and I made them understood like what I do. So it took them a while, but now I am proud owner of 2,000 books at my place. And even they are happy with the choice I made. Like I did not choose my family business and I choose to create my own.
We are so happy to hear your success and achievement. So, as of now, there's a guy, Varun. He has a question. So Varun, you could please unmute yourself and ask it. Varun, are you there? Okay, so basically his question is that how to finish reading a book which you don't feel like reading, but you know it's very essential to read.
So when it comes to reading, each book has its own journey. And some books, even if you don't like, have to read because it teaches you something. Like every book teaches you something, be it a good book or a bad book. And when it comes to finishing that book, like it happened with me recently. So just take a pause. It's okay to take a break from a book and switch to next book and then come back to the book again. So don't force yourself to finish a book. Never do that. Take your own time to read that book and just go with the flow. Choose another book, read a light read that you feel that will make you happy, and then you can always switch back to another book.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we've all been in the same exact situation where we're stuck with a book and cannot move on.
Yes.
Also, ma'am, I'd like to ask you, how does, since you're also and you're director of social Sparrow Media, Sparrowave Media,
Sparrowave.
and yes, and you're a blogger, and how do you complement these things and make it an essential part of your routine and grow these brands?
So when you love what you work now, you never feel that thing. So I enjoyed what I do. So I'm like out of 24 hours, I'm almost working for 20 hours, and I love what I work. So yeah, it just balances it all naturally. But I plan my day. I try to follow that plan, but I know like things always shuffle. But yeah, always works. But make sure that you take out time for yourself. Like I make sure, like before I go to sleep, that 1 hour I just recap whatever happened in that day, and I plan my next day before going to bed, and that has always helped me. So we have a question: how do we start a blog? So you can start a blog in two ways. First is via WordPress, and second is via Google. Now, I would always suggest you to go with WordPress since it's easier and it's user friendly basically. When it comes to starting a blog, first identify a niche, what you want to write about. That is the most important thing for a blogger, because if you share about everything and anything, there won't be uniqueness. So firstly, identify a niche, then write down what all you can contribute to that niche. So suppose I'm starting a blog about books and my journey, then I will write down what all I can add about books and my journey. And here I would suggest one thing: keep 80% of your niche and 20% of a different niche. So it is like, if I'm writing 80% about books, 20% I share about journaling, I share about home decor or brands that I work with. That helps you in diverting your audience. A simple quote reaches many people. So that is something that I have experienced myself, and telling you out of my experience that always choose two niche, one that a primary niche that you can write n number of things on that particular niche, and secondly a niche that is general, but you can make it different in your own way. So that is the second thing, like you have to pen down everything that you can share. Third thing is create a pattern. Now when it comes to pattern, I won't say use a theme or anything like this is how I will write, or this is in this particular order only I will write. No, don't do that, but choose a theme on how you will portray what you want to. Then fourth thing when it comes to blogging is choose how you want world to see your work. And fifth is just launch it, publish your blog. because that will give you that confidence. I was that person who was very shy, and I was an underconfident person in my college. And I would tell each one of you present here, make use of these years in your college, because they shape you in big time. Like I remember my first presentation in college, I was just shivering, but now I have that confidence that I can address thousands of people, and I still thank my college for giving me that confidence. So use all these opportunities that your colleges give you, be it a presentation, be it an event, anything, because they will shape you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer. Now, speaking about blogs, there's a question from a participant that do you have a favorite blog that you have written and go back to for inspiration?
So yes, there was a poem that I have written in 2014. So I started reading when I had a breakup with my best friend. That hurts most. So I started writing and reading when I parted ways with my best friend, and blog became my only thing. So I still remember that first article, that first poem that I read, that I wrote, and I still go to that poem. Every time I feel low, I still go to that, and I'm like, okay, when I can write this poem in 2014, I can write many better things. So take your time and just do what you feel.
Thank you. Also, how do you find the correct genre to write? Like, how do you decide that you want to write a particular genre?
Well, it just happens. I am a person who goes with the flow, and I just write what I feel. So sometimes it becomes poem, sometimes it becomes an article, sometimes it becomes a book review. I also don't know. So I never plan my content. But you
Okay.
guys
Thank you, ma'am.
do it. You guys should do it, because it is important to plan your content so you don't feel that block. But
Yes.
try sharing what you feel and be honest. Your
Thank you,
social
ma'am.
media personality
Yeah.
should be same as who you are.
That's very true.
Ma'am, as writers, as fellow writers, and as people who hold aspiration to become a writer, to express themselves clearly, and how does one become a good writer? I mean, we write our thoughts, but how do we become a better writer? We read books and we improve our language, and is it by getting our writing checked by our peers, by teachers? How else do we improve on that?
You have to just keep writing and going back to your work. That is the only way you improve your writing. Trust me on that. Still, when I go back to the review that I wrote in 2017, and read my reviews now, I know that okay, I have grown as a writer. So you have to keep writing, and you yourself will find that goodness in writing, like what has improved in your writing. And
Okay, ma'am.
secondly, I would say there is nothing called as good writing and bad writing. Like, you are writing for yourself and not for anyone else. So think of it that way and write, and you will get all your answers.
Also, how do you deal with a creative or writer's block?
So I go for a walk, and I always have this habit of writing at night. Every poem I write it at night. So I just scribble, I write, I go for a walk, I reread my favorite book, and that helps me get back to my routine.
Okay.
Ma'am, what was the book that if you read, we all read Roald Dahl and Tintin and
You're,
Geronimo
you're,
Stilton in our childhood? What's
so,
your favorite author like that got you hooked onto writing, or if you
so
have
when
any?
it comes to, yes, so when it comes to writing and reading, I started reading in college when I was of your age, and like I said, like I used to bring books on train. So that uncle suggested me a book by Paulo Coelho. So I started reading, I guess, The Secret and Preeti Shinoy. I started reading two authors, and that helped me in reading more and writing more. And the first book that I read in my life was The One You Cannot Have by Preeti Shinoy. But as I started reading more and writing more, Becoming by Michelle Obama became my favorite book and my inspiration when it comes to reading and writing. That book for me is like Bible, I can say. I can read 10 pages and I know like that will light up my mood and I'll get back on track.
Hello.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. I have a question. It's a pleasure listening to you today. Just a while ago, you talked about how you write down quotes from the books you read. So I would
Yes.
like to ask if you could share a quote that stuck by you or anything that made you look at things differently.
So I just finished a book, and yesterday I finished a book that is The Disbecoming. So if you check my feed right now, I have 3 reels, like one post and 2 reels regarding that book, because that is something that that is a book that I'll obviously recommend to everyone. But that quote is, I'll just uh, share it with you. So there are 2 quotes that I really loved, and I'll share one of them. When she was broken to a million pieces, she used the glue of her spirit and became the most resilient of mosaics. So again, this is the line that inspired me, because when I was broken, a friend of mine told me, like, you are an unfinished masterpiece. So after all these years that I read this book, these lines stayed with me. And another book, so I just finished this book today, Meet Me at the Cast, and I just marked a line I wanted to start my review with. I'll just share that. Hmm, 1 minute. Okay, 1 second. So that's the problem with all intelligent people. You ask too many questions. Sometimes it's better to accept things just the way they are. So again, this line stayed with me because the following thing is, dreams are the purest and the most honest voices of our hearts. They convey messages which we never put in words out of ignorance, guilt, fear, or ego.
Lovely. Thank you so much, ma'am.
So yes, let me know if you have any question related to blogging, related to content creation, related to Instagram. You can always ask. If you have any question or anything you want to know about this field of blogging.
Okay, so this is like a personal question coming from me. So how do you feel? Like, do you feel is there a change in you? Like maybe the way you think, like, you know, before you started to write and after you wrote, like, do you see any personality changes or how you see things, how you view things? Has it changed or
A lot.
okay?
So writing always changes you. And when I started, like when I choose this field, one thing that changed in me was I became more patient. Like I was an impatient person you will ever find. But as I started this journey, I developed more patience. I started thinking from a different perspective, like, okay, things can be this way as well. And I became kind of, person who finds depth rather than just letting go. I stop, I see, I feel things, and then I'm like, okay, so writing changes a lot. You think more deeper. And remember, if you start a journey of content creation or blogging, first thing is have patience, because sometimes I feel people are behind followers these days, and views and followers, comments, likes. So have patience and ignore, because in this journey there will be people who will be pulling you down. Will be a lot of toxicity, but ignore and do what you love. Add what you feel in your content, and the magic will happen eventually.
Thank you so much for your answer. Now, does someone have any question or something? Rahul or anyone else?
Yes.
I have a question.
Oh yes.
Yes, please go on.
Yeah, so ma'am, I'm also a writer, and I've heard that writing about happy incidents is very difficult because you can't always find the words, or like the most appropriate words to describe that particular thing. So do you have any tips on that?
So yeah, it is true that it is difficult to write your happy moments, but I would say pen down. Like, your first draft will always be that raw draft where you will pen down anything, even the silliest thing, pen it down, and later you improvise on these things. And always remember, like I always tell this one thing, never delete your first draft, because that will give you that thing. Okay, like the essence is always in first draft, so you will see that, okay, I need to pick this from my draft and I have to write them. So even in happy moments, you will feel this, you will feel that, and later you will craft it. Like and in your first draft, you will find that thing. Like, okay, I need to craft this thing, but in a better way. So pen it down in your first draft and then improve it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. I have another question. I news. It's almost next year. It's gonna be a decade. So, what do you feel? How would you describe your journey? And is there any other action that you would take in this course of journey that you've been through?
So I would say my journey is no less than a roller coaster ride. I started in 2017, and back then the community was so good. But now when you see, there is a lot of competition, there are like many things, but it is like you need to collaborate rather than compete. So that is what we do these days. And when it comes to my journey, there have been things where I have been trolled, I have been questioned, I have been held responsible for the things I did not do. So in this journey, you will find many things, but at the end, there are pros to the journey as well. Like, I met my favorite authors. I worked with the best of the authors and brands. I worked with best publishers on best books. So yeah, this journey has been a good one with lots of lessons and learnings. So it's a good journey and I'm enjoying it. Till I enjoy it, I'm okay with anything.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, do we have more questions? Would someone like to ask participants? Okay, so I got a question from a participant, and it is, what is your most integral tip and tricks while marketing your content on Instagram in the form of reels?
When it comes to reels, try to keep your message clear and quick. Like, the first 3 seconds of the reel are important things, so try to convey your message in those 3 seconds. And secondly, it would be, even if it's a personal reel or everything, make it an interesting one with transitions or rawness, I can say. Because on Instagram, we like to see raw content rather than finished content. Like we like to see the BTS more rather than the original, no, the composed piece. So keep it
Ma'am,
original and fun.
yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, how do you feel Reels has changed content making over the past, over post-COVID? Given Reels have a 30-second and
Yes.
writing is a very thoughtful and precise, putting your thoughts into words, which may be which may take longer than 30 seconds to read. And Reels has kind of shifted the attention span to a lot lesser from what people used to have before. How do you feel that has impacted content writing?
A lot. That has impacted content writing in many ways. Like people are now more into reels and reach. But I still feel there is that love for writing, that people still read articles. People still go to Google and search for books, for articles online. It has impacted, but storytelling has its own ways. So even in that 3 seconds of reel, we can convey a message that we convey it in 300 words article. But I would always tell one thing: have a website or a blog, because there are people who still Google it and still trust Google.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, due to time constraint, is it okay if we stop the question answer round?
Sure.
Yes. So over to Aisha and Tanaya.
First of all, I would like to request everyone to switch on their cameras so we can take a few pictures. Come on, guys, everyone, participants.
Participants, please switch on your camera so we can take a few pictures for our social media and magazine voices. Okay, everyone smile at three, okay? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, done.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me.
Yeah, so on the group, we made a college group with all the participants. So we will send in the your blog and your Instagram in case they want to reach out to you. So participants feel free. And we'll also share your blog. And thank you so much. It was a very interactive session. All the insights that you've given is pretty mind-wrecking and really insightful.
Thank you so much.
Just a few minutes, we'll just do the closing.
Yes.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen,
as we draw the curtains on this enlightening webinar, we want to express our deepest gratitude to each and every one here for being part of this enriching experience today.
our heartfelt thanks go to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Vidhya Thakkar. Vidya, your insights into the world of literature, your journey as a blogger, and your expertise as a social media strategist have left an incredible mark on our audience.
Your dedication to the literary world, your work with renowned brands and authors, and your role in fostering Mumbaibookstagram community are truly inspiring. We've learned so much from you today, and we're sure our attendees have too.
We also want to take a moment to shed light on our vibrant club, HR Speaks. We are creative minds behind HR College official monthly magazine and the organizers of renowned HR lecture. Our mission is to ignite intellectual curiosity, celebrate literature, and create a platform for thought-provoking discussion. Feel free to check out our Instagram account, HR Speaks.
Today's webinar is a testament to our commitment to bringing you insightful conversations and thought-provoking leaders like Miss Vidya. We hope this event has been as rewarding for you as it has been for us. It's an absolute pleasure. Before Tanaya continue, ma'am, would you like to give some few words before our closing, which we can stick by?
So I would say thank you so much for this opportunity and for everything you guys do. It is really amazing, and I feel so good that the college has this club where they promote literature and writing all together. So keep going and good luck for your club. All the best.
So much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Also, thanks to all our attendees. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep speaking your truth, which HR speaks.
Goodbye and take care. All the participants can leave. Only students from HR speaks there. I mean, the core committee of HR speaks there.